Hello everybody, this is Howard the Teaserking coming to you with week 1 of the NCAA college football. The opening video, the opening pick. Let's get down to some serious picking here. I posted my lock and I have a total of 10 games in 5 teasers, which you can play as a 10-team teaser. Slice them up any way you want, play my 7 units together, play my lock with 7 units, any way you want. If you want a 14, 15, just take 5 of them. Well, I got 10 games I like, so I'm not going to give you my lock, but I am going to give you a good 2 game. This is a 2-team teaser here. So let's start it off. Again, week 1. Again, www.teaserking.com. Let's get inside the numbers. Auburn lane 3 against Washington. Games in Atlanta. Spreads Auburn -3. Over under of 50. Approximate. Different lines. You might have a 2.5. You might have a 3.5. You might have a 49. You might have a 51. This is just taking the line. So there's 4 ways to bet the game. We can take Auburn +3, Washington +9, under 56, over 44. Both teams have outstanding quarterbacks. Both teams have outstanding running backs. Both teams have outstanding defenses. And both teams have outstanding coaches. Auburn I've got ranked as a 1. 1 is the strongest, 5 is the weakest. So I'm looking for bet against 5s, take 1. So here's Auburn. Last year they scored 34 a game, gave up 17. Tremendous defense. I got them all 1s this year. I got a 1 as a quarterback, Jarrett Stidham. Dynamite. A good offense, a good defense, a good defensive line, and a very good coach. So this is a very solid team. Let's look at Washington. Washington, I've got them as a 1. If I can find them. They scored 37 a game. They gave up 14. I got them 1 all the way around. Jake Browning, excellent quarterback. Miles Gaskin, they both should be within the first 2 rounds drafted. So should Stidman. Great coach, the Boise coach. So what do you do in a situation like that? How in the hell can you pick a winner? You can't, because either team could win. Let's go inside the numbers if I can find anything. So when I look at, now this is a road game to both teams. So if I go into last year's stat, Washington is a road dog 1-0, because they're not normally, the only time they'd be a road dog is at USC, maybe at Oregon, but Oregon slipped. Maybe at Washington State, but probably at USC. They were 8-4 against the number, and they were 8-4 against the number. There's not a big trend there. Let's look at Auburn. Now look at Auburn as a road favorite. Auburn 3-3 as a road favorite last year. As strong as they were, mind you, they beat Alabama and Georgia, but both were as home dogs. This is why the role is critical. As a road favorite, 3-3, bet against 4-2. So you got to keep that in mind. So no real trends. So let's go back and add 2016 to it. So looking at the 16 season plus the 17 season, Washington's 1-1 as a road dog, 2-0 against. No trend. I don't consider trend till I have like 5. I mean, maybe 4, but because I know some teams just aren't dogs, but a 1-1 just is not enough to go to say, oh, there's the trend. And let's look at Auburn. 5-4 as a road favorite, and 5-4 against. And we can go back to 2015 just in case. Auburn 7-4 as a road favorite, 7-4 against. And then we can look at Washington as a dog. Washington's 4-2 as a road dog and against. So really, there's nothing inside the numbers that's going to tell you anything. So you've got two good defenses. So how do you go over or under in this game? Because defense can control the offense with blitzing. If the ends can pass rush, if you get in the backfield, you can destroy the offense. And both teams are extremely strong defensively. So you can either go under on the game or you can take a side. Well, since we don't know who's going to win the game, because the game's not in Auburn, it's in Atlanta, it's neutral. And this is a big game for Washington because they don't play Alabama and Georgia like Auburn does. And they've been kind of the Pac-12's been screwed. First of all, the playoff should be the 5 conference champions plus an at-large or something like that, or really it should be the 10. But you can't leave out the Pac-12 champ and the Big Ten champ. It's ridiculous. So you can have 2 SEC teams from a very weak conference, and then say, well, Alabama's the champ because they beat this, that, and the other, and they shouldn't have been there. So the whole system's just retarded. And they think so stupidly because if you have more playoff games, there's more revenue. What are you thinking? So it's almost like it's almost like it's run by Alabama. How can we get them in the playoff? How can we match them up so they have the easiest road, and then so they can win and we can call them fake national champs? So Washington really has a lot more motivation than Auburn. If Auburn loses, they still play Alabama, they still play Georgia, they still play the SEC. Washington has to prove a point here that says we're as good as the SEC. If they win this game, and even if they lose to USC, if they play them, or if they lose to Washington State, won't be, maybe Stanford, if they lose that game, gives them an excuse. Well, we beat Auburn, who's SEC. So there's a little more motivation there. Over under, both teams can score, both teams can stop it. So I would lean under, but I like Washington in 9 more than I like the under because they both have good quarterbacks, good coaches. The key to playing a dog, you got to have a good quarterback who's going to score for you. You don't want to play a dog that can't score. You need a strong defense because you need them to keep them in case your quarterback isn't playing well, and you need a good coach. So Washington qualifies all over the board there. They're a very, very strong team. They should win the Pac-12. They're a dog, so you get 9 points with a team that can win the game. Take Washington plus the 9. Absolutely. Should be a very tight game. I'm going to say 17-16, 20-17 score, somewhere in that neighborhood. The only way it gets over is if you go to the stupid overtime where they give them the ball at the 1-yard line and say, "Hey, score." It's just retarded, the overtime. They should start at the 50 and let them, you score, and then the other team gets the ball at the 50. This is stupid to give them the ball at the 25 and then, they just score. And then the second team that scores ties it up. So the first team scores, the second team scores, it's tied. The second team gets the ball. It's whoever thinks of these rules are just idiots. So take Washington plus the 9. If you like, I'd go under 56. I think that's another winner, but I think Washington and 9. The game could get high scoring. It probably won't, but with both quarterbacks, whoever's behind's in the game, and I don't see him getting blown out. And I could easily see Washington win this game just as easily as I could see Auburn winning the game. So therefore, it won't really bother Washington to go to the East Coast because it's the first game. They'll get there early, and off they go. So Washington's probably more motivated. This is a big, big game for them. Auburn still plays Georgia and Alabama. So no matter what happens, Auburn can beat Alabama. And lose the SEC title championship game and then let Alabama into the playoff anyway. So Washington in 9, step 1. Step 2, Cal laying 7.5, 8 to North Carolina in Cal. I think it's a 7:30 West Coast time, which will be 10:30, I think. I don't know. I have to check my time on that. Doesn't matter. North Carolina, let's look at their records. Or let's look at their rankings. Cal is a 3. I've rated them. Last year they scored 27, gave up 28, so they can move the ball. They got a good quarterback in Ross Bowers, a good running back. They're a very strong passing team. I like their coach. I got them as all 3s. They got a good offense, not a great offense. They got a good defense, not a great defense, and a good coach. But the bet is made here on the fact it's in Cal, and North Carolina's got to travel all the way across the country. Well, first, I gave you the line. I'm sorry, it's 7.5, 8.5, 58. Over under 58, 59. I don't know. North Carolina's quarterback and a couple players are suspended, so they got to go to the backup quarterback, who's not really good. North Carolina's got problems in their secondary, and Cal can throw the ball all over the place. So matchup problem there. So the first thing is North Carolina does not have a good quarterback. North Carolina does not have a good defense. North Carolina has a decent coach, but he was better at Southern Miss or Memphis or wherever they got him from, and a little bit lower. Now he's in with the big boys. North Carolina's not doing too well. But they probably can score. But I like Cal here is just very strong at home, and they've got the matchup. They've got a little bit better defense in the matchups there. I think their coaching's pretty even. North Carolina I have is also a 3. They scored 26 a game, but they gave up 31. Chaz Surratt is out, so the backup, he's more of an option type of quarterback, I think. So you've got the backup in. He didn't beat out Chaz Surratt, and Chaz Surratt's not good. I had Chaz Surratt as a 3. I got their offense as a 3. I got their defense as a 4. And I got their coaches at 2. So they got a lousy defense. So Cal should score a lot, and they're at home, and it's West Coast. And in this case, so I like, it's hard to take the over in this game. This game would have been an over, but again, I didn't like Chaz Surratt. I'm not sure I like this backup quarterback, but I don't think they're going to stop Cal in the game. Cal, big game at home. They need it. North Carolina is just not that good. You want them to go to the West Coast. I think Cal beat them last year in North Carolina. So let's take a quick look at the numbers and see if there's anything there. Now this game is at Cal, so Cal is a home favorite. I got them 1-0 last year, 4-0 as a home dog, so 5-0 at home, 10-1 overall last year. They lost once as a road dog. And they played USC very competitive at home. And they were 5-6 bet against. So Cal, you could see the line wasn't adjusted, so they were really weak, and now they got better. Look for them to get even better. Their quarterback is experienced. Let's look at North Carolina as a road dog. North Carolina, 2-2 as a road dog, 6-5 overall last year. Bet against 3-1, 8-3. 3-1 is a road dog you bet against. Let's go back to 16. Get a little bit more flavor. Cal wasn't as strong the year before, but yet as a home favorite, they're 2-0. As a home dog, 8-1. They're 10-1 the last 2 years at home, 19-4 overall. So even though they didn't have the coach, they were still 19-4. They played Stanford very well in their game. They played USC. They played Washington. I think Washington was the one game they lost last year. Kind of got buried. So as a home favorite, if you bet against them at home, you're 5-6. Not too good. So you can see Cal 10-1 at home, 19-4 overall the last 2 years. That's 23 games there. Let's look at North Carolina on the road. 5-3, 13-9 overall. If you bet against them, 5-3, 14-8 overall. So North Carolina is, decent, but most of their games are in the ACC. Here you're trying to travel to the West Coast. So it's extremely difficult as we watch the NFL teams go to the West Coast and lose at San Diego, lose at Oakland, lose at Frisco. It's always been a tough trip for the pros, so it's a tough trip for college. Notre Dame has a tough time going to USC. Teams that go out to Washington or Oregon. Michigan State went out to Oregon and got blown out. It's extremely difficult to go West Coast. And, and the West Coast team's waiting for them. And, it's on the West Coast time, so that definitely helps. The Auburn, Washington, while it's true is on the West Coast time, it's a night game. It's not the noon game where it's 9 in the morning for the West Coast. It's an 8 o'clock game, 7:30, 8 o'clock for Auburn, Washington. The Washington, it'll be more on their normal 5, 6 o'clock game time. Where North Carolina, I don't know the time of this game. If it's up to North Carolina, they're going to make it, or if it's up to Cal, they'll play it at 7:30 at night, West Coast time, to make it 10:30 at night to really screw up North Carolina. So let's go back to 05, North Carolina, road dog. And it's 7-3 as a road dog. 6-4 against. Now again, this is with Trubisky now. His trends come in, and they're still 7-3 as a road dog. And let's look at Cal at home. 5-1 is a home favorite. 9-1 is a home dog. 14-2 the last 3 years at home. 28-7, 80% if you just played them. So Cal's been a sleeper, getting good numbers, and in the Pac-10 or Pac-12, which is they're playing Stanford. They're playing Washington State. You get a USC or UCLA in there. Maybe Arizona State. Utah's tough. So you can see what you have there, and they're still 28-7. Bet against is a home favorite, 3-3. Home dog, 5-5. 8-8 bet against. 14-2 bet on. 28-7 overall. There you go. So you can see fundamentally I'm looking at the matchup of California with good offense, good passing against North Carolina with a weak defense, weak secondary. I'm looking at Carolina is using their backup quarterback. They got to travel to the West Coast. They're not very good. Cal is getting better. They're very strong at home. Absolutely. Take Washington as a strong dog. Take Cal as a strong home favorite, strong home team, playing an East Coast team going west. Absolutely love these matchups. Very strong player, not a lock. It could have been. I was tempted to lock Cal, but I didn't. I found two other stronger games. So this is where I'm looking at the whole list, and it's like, yeah, I could lock them, but I found this better game. And the lock's the strongest play of the week, but not all strong plays get locked. So you've got to understand when I say it's a lock, think of it as this is the best play of the week. And I could see playing the lock with this teaser and a 4-team teaser. I could see betting Washington in 2 teasers, Cal in 2 teasers if you want, or the 4-teamer, and if you like some others. So there's 2 very, very strong games right off the bat. Now, things to look out for in week 1. You're just, a lot of these games you're watching the quarterback. How's the new South Florida quarterback? How's UCF with the new coach? How's UCLA with the new coach? How's, West Virginia should be very strong with their quarterback, Greer. So what you're watching is these new quarterbacks. Are they good or not? I mean, some are good and some aren't. the new coaches. How's Nebraska with Scott Frost? Well, don't expect it to be UCF. UCF had far more talent than Nebraska has. It's not even close. So you can't say, oh, we're going to bet Scott Frost. Not this year. Not unless he shows something where it turns out to be this super system that he uses, and he's great at motivating, and he got UCF. Look at them, and look at UCF, the linebacker with half a hands on Seattle. I mean, Mackenzie Milton, the quarterback's going to be a first-round draft pick, and great runners. I mean, that is just a great team. UCF, they would have definitely should have been in the playoff when they beat Auburn. So I don't know. I don't know why they don't think they can win when they beat Auburn, who beat Bama and Georgia. So they definitely deserved it, and that's the point of having 8 or 10 teams in. You'd have thrown in Ohio State, you'd have thrown in Washington, you'd have thrown in UCF, you'd have thrown out Alabama, you'd have had Georgia and Clemson and Oklahoma, and there you got 6 teams, and you could find 2 more. Auburn probably goes in as an at-large since they beat Alabama head up, and maybe the second. Then Penn State probably should have been in there. Penn State would have beat Alabama. It's just embarrassing, to try to call it they're the national champs when they don't play any of the good teams. They beat Georgia, I'll give them that credit, but so did Auburn, and Auburn gets screwed by. See, I don't like when a team gets screwed by losing their conference championship game, but then the team they beat to get to the conference championship goes over them. It's just retarded. So anyway, there you go, week 1. My picks are up. I got 10 plays, 1 lock. That's 2 teams. Then I got 4 other teaser plays. You can play them any way you want. You can play. I got 7-unit teams, so you can play all the 7 units with the lock and have a 6-team teaser. You can play these 2 plus the lock, pick a couple of your own. I got some more very strong games. I like week 1. I like my new little system. I've always looked at the teams, and I kind of in my mind ranked them, but now I've put them down, and I can go, yeah, they're a 1, they're a 2. I love that. That's a nice little tweak I've added. It just keeps it easier for me. I can quickly look and go, yep, okay, yep, the quarterback's a 1, all right, the quarterback's a 5. And that's what I want, is bet against the 5 quarterbacks, bet on the 1 quarterback. So again, you're going to watch the new coaches, watch the new quarterbacks, see what you got, look at the box score. Now, when a team, like I think South Carolina plays Coastal Carolina, okay, they'll blow them out, but you don't really get a good read there. So if somebody plays Alabama, A&M, and John Stallworth's not playing, so you can't say they're good. Or they play, South Dakota State, who probably they did beat, Iowa or Minnesota a couple years ago. If they play the normal Division II or the weak MAC or the weak, Sun Belt team, I think USC plays Vegas. I think Arizona State plays Texas San Antonio. So those are still you can get a little read off of. But when they play the Division II, Savannah State, let's say, it's really hard to get a read of how good they are. I remember looking at Shea Patterson last year, and he started off beating Pacific and beating this other crap team and another crap team. I go, wow, this guy's good. And he started facing Auburn and LSU, and he's not very good. He did not play well in the big games against the big talent. He played well against the weak teams. Just food for thought there, Michigan fans. So you've got to look at the level of competition. So if Washington comes out and beats Auburn, now you go, oh, okay, shit, Auburn's loaded. And if Auburn comes out and blows out Washington, then you got to go, Auburn's loaded. Look out, they beat Washington. So yes, you can take something away week 1 from that game. You can take something away from the Miami LSU game, the Michigan Notre Dame game. You can't take much out of Ohio State, Oregon State. You can't take much out of, so it's got to be playing a decent team where you can take something and go, wow, this quarterback's really good. And this is the problem in college. You have the quarterback, He plays great against no competition, like Lamar Jackson. He beat Pacific. He beat some other crap teams. And he wins the Heisman because he put up all these yards against the crap team, and then he played the good teams, and he didn't do anything. He couldn't beat Clemson, North Carolina State. I don't think he beat Georgia Tech. So you got to be careful overvaluing the player based on competition. It's sort of like horse betting. You got to look at the competition. It's not he beat a bunch of nobodies. He moves up in class. He can't win. So again, it's who did they beat and how did he play against the better teams. So that's what that's what you're looking for in the game. Like Michigan Notre Dame, if Patterson comes out and he just blitz Notre Dame and beat them 30-0, Shea Patterson's the man. But if they play a 10-10 tie, then it shows against the good teams he doesn't really do anything. It's his first game for Michigan, but that's what you're going to look at. So anyway, www.teaserking.com. There you go. First strong play. Take Washington plus the 9, 8.5, whatever. Take California laying 1.5, 2, 2.5. Try to get it under 3. This is why I'm posting this early, because that line will move up. And again, North Carolina has 4 players suspended. I'm not sure it's a bad thing that they're starting quarterback, but he did beat out the back out. So if he's better than the second stringer, then what do you got? But I just can't see them walking into Cal, who's very strong at home, and just pounding them. And yes, neither team, they don't have the defense or the quarterback to really why you would bet them. And again, that's the key to the dog and the road team is the defense. Can they run the ball to rest their defense? But they got to have a good enough quarterback who can move and put points out. You can't win without points. So those are the key things. You're looking at the coach, of course. So anyway, week 1's out there. I know people that want to play the first 4 weeks. So yeah, you'd probably want to wait. I mean, I could stretch it for you. Well, I think you'd still get the first 4 weeks, even if you bought it today, let's say. You would still get weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's not like it would start this week if you bought it now, because it's date sensitive, and the first date is September 3rd. So therefore, you'd get the 3rd, 10th, 17th, and 24th. You wouldn't get like this week, which is nothing, and then next week, which I think there's the 2 little games, and then it starts. So yeah, you don't worry about that. I do recommend getting it as quickly as you can to get the good spread before the number moves too much. I got a few over-unders, very strong, that, again, you don't want the line to move on you too much. But you do have some time. Anyway, www.teaserking.com. And I look forward to a really big year in college and in the pros. Definitely the pros, I'm going to just kill them this year. I'm kind of pissed. I was 80% 2 years ago in the pro. I was like 140 and 39. Last year was just all the coaching changes and all of a sudden Jacksonville's good, the Rams are good. It's just, it happens like, once in 20 years where you've got these huge turnovers and all the trends break. That's why I use the trends. They get me the Cal game here. That's the point of the trends. You can see that every team has their personality, and that's what you look for. So a team that's a weak road dog, you bet against, and all of a sudden they start playing well. And now you don't make that mistake again. But anyway, definitely you're gonna kill this year. I have no doubt. I've been doing this way too long and been watching a lot of old games, just getting like, okay, yeah, you picked the 4. Yeah, Joe Montana, you won a lot. Okay, why? You had Montana. You had a good defense. You had a good coach. So I'm carrying that, and I always have that, but I'm just refining it. So basically I'm pissed off, so this is what I do. All right, everybody, good luck to you. www.teaserking.com. Thank you very much. Please email me with any questions, and I'll be happy to work with you. Take care.